Happy Friday and happy Halloween, Bourbon family. Whiskey Phoenix coming to you today on this Halloween with another review. Now today I tried not to pick something that would be too difficult to get a hold of, like the other two that I've done earlier this week. So what I'm coming with you today is Buzzards Roost. And this one is specifically their Char No. 1 straight bourbon whiskey. Now I picked this up from the Buzzards Roost tasting room. And at that time it was a tasting room only pickup in Louisville. So I want to say it's still easy enough to find. You may just have to go to their website and order it. And I was looking into that, because you know I like to give y'all as much information as I possibly can. And it looks like they ship throughout the majority of the U.S. However, if you're like in Ohio, like me, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, North Carolina, they don't ship to those states. But I will put, as always, I'll put their link down in the comments so you guys can go and check out their website and see for yourself where they ship to. I also found it interesting that Buzzards Roost actually only, I guess, came into being in 2019. Woman by the name of Judy Hollis Jones and Jason Bronner met while doing a barrel pick. And as they got to know each other, an idea started to form that they wanted to start their own bourbon brand. And they knew that they wanted it to be, you know, exceptional but unique. So they, looks like they brought in, I just saw his name and I lost it. So they brought in an independent expert, but an independent stave company, who I guess is an expert in the barrel business, and helped work with them to create proprietary barrels for second maturation. And actually with this Buzzards Roost Char No. 1 straight bourbon whiskey, it does say that it is aged in a proprietary custom charred barrel to enhance its unique flavor. So as you can see, I've been into it, but not very much. Since this was at the time just a tasting room only exclusive. I guess they must have just released it in at the beginning of July when I was down there. Luckily on this one, I was able to find a mash bill, which is coming in at 59% corn, 36% rye, and 5% malted barley. And again, it's charred No. 1, so that's in the lightest barrel char that there is. Now, if you're new to bourbon, like I am still, I know I'm getting close to that year mark, but I do not, I still consider myself a newbie. One of the things that I found interesting when I did a distillery tour down at New Riff in Bellevue, Kentucky, was I didn't realize that if you see something like this, that's a Char No. 1, or, you know, whatever char level it may be at, that they are literally like charring the inside of the barrel. And, you know, to varying degrees of, you know, however, you know, a light char all the way up to, like the one that they showed us was a very dark char, like the inside of it was completely black. So I found that fascinating because, again, being a newbie, I don't know these things. And, you know, maybe I'm not the only newbie that's, you know, checking out my channel and everything. So, you know, I want to try and provide a little bit of education along the way. All right, let's get into this nose. Oh, man. See, and what was so cool, too, is when I was down at Buzzards Roost tasting room, I think she was the manager. You know, I was just sitting there by myself. I was doing one of their flights and everything. And she came over and she's like, hey, you know, have you tried this? And I don't know, she sat there and we talked for like 30 minutes or whatever, which was really cool. And she poured me a taste of this, and it's like, okay, this is definitely the one that I'm walking out with for this trip. Because when I went on that trip, I was trying to find things that I can't necessarily find in Ohio or Northern Kentucky. Right away I get a hint of citrus. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's more like an apple. But brown sugar, cinnamon, a little bit of caramel. Yeah, that does. It's kind of like an apple. Like a red apple. All right, let's give this a taste. Cheers. First sip of bourbon again today, so I'm just gonna let my mouth and my taste buds and palate, fire up. What I also like about this is it doesn't have a very high ethanol smell to it, and I'm trying to get a look at the fingers here. It's got some good fingers on it. They're taking a little bit of time to run down the glass. All right, let's get into that second sip. On the palate, you get like this spiciness, then like some sweetness works its way in. That caramel that you kind of get on the nose is there on the palate, kind of gives way to a little bit of a toffee. Where I got the apple, on the palate, I'm actually getting like some kind of a dark fruit, and I don't know if that's like a dark cherry, blackberry, but it's definitely along the lines of one of the darker fruits. And you get just a hint of the oak, probably coming off the char. And there's actually that spiciness that you get right away on the palate. That's definitely some kind of a pepper spice. The finish on this, for me, it's lingering. I don't know if I would call it long. But I definitely say it's like a medium finish. Definitely warm. This is coming in at 105 proof. So, it's got a decent proof point to it. And that toasted oak kind of like hangs there with you, and that mix of the sweetness and the spicy that you get on the palate kind of like is still like, partying with you, on the finish as well. I really enjoy Buzzards Roost. I haphazardly picked up one of their bottles, and I believe, and it's gone. It was their Char #1 rye, and I believe it was a recommendation from the Bourbon House newsletter that I get from being down in New Orleans. And I tried it, and I immediately became a fan of Buzzards Roost. So that's why I made sure when I was, down doing my personal bourbon tasting trail in Louisville, I made sure to hit up their tasting room. Overall, I would rate this, a solid 8.9 out of 10. I just know that there's other ones out there, or others that I have tried, I should be more specific, that I know rank higher and are gonna, really land in that top 10 list of bourbons and whiskeys for 2025, since it's my full year doing it. And actually, I'd like your guys' input. Drop in the comments if you'd like me to do like instead of just an overall top 10, if you'd like to see me perhaps do my top 5 ryes, my top 5 wheated, my top 5 straight bourbon whiskeys. Drop in the comments below and let me know. And as always, look at my bio. I have a referral code for the Hang Light gummies. They do help prevent hangovers. They also protect your liver. You can take them before, during, or after you've had some drinks. And I promise you, you will wake up hangover free. Now, if you go to bed late, I can't promise you that you're not going to wake up still tired, but it's not going to be a hangover, that's for sure. Yes, I'm wearing a Tulsa hoodie. My oldest son's fiance, she is attending law school at Tulsa University. So when I did my Tulsa trip, she surprised me and came back with a nice hoodie for me from Tulsa to make sure that I'm, you know, in some way, shape, or form, always representing Oklahoma where they live. So thank you, Abby, for that. All right, there you have it on this Halloween. I hope I didn't scare you too much with this review. As always, please drink responsibly, and I'll see you in the next one.